COVID-19 pandemic has struck the global population with unparalleled speed and ferocity. So, I take this opportunity to welcome today's eminent speaker, Professor Kumar, the Vice Chancellor of Sri Kalaji Vedic University, Rajasthan, who will give us an insight into the role as well as importance of immunity system to combat COVID-19, which is demand for the present scenario. Now I invite Professor Haribhai Kataria, Dean Faculty of Science, to say a few words. Over to you, Haribhai Kataria.
Can you listen me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Professor Pragna, madam. I take this opportunity to welcome you all. I welcome Professor Ashok Kumar, today's eminent speaker and the present Vice Chancellor of the Kalaji Vedic University, Rajasthan. I am also happy that he had served as a Vice Chancellor in many universities. Sir, we welcome you and thanks for joining us and sparing your valuable time and the knowledge with us. I congratulate the department, Professor Doli Kumar, Head Department of Zoology, and the team for organizing this workshop. Actually, in this situation, everybody is thinking for how to increase our immunity, and the topics chosen in this webinar will certainly throw light, and we have the eminent speaker, so we all will come to know how to increase our immunity. So with this note, I once again welcome all the participants, all the teachers. Professor Parimal Vyas, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, is busy with some another assignment. So at the last moment, he could not spare the time, but he convey his good wishes for the webinar. So, and I am confident that because of Professor Ashok Kumar, all the participants will certainly benefited by his knowledge, because he is having the vast experience in this field. So I am sure that this webinar would be really a very useful webinar, and all would be benefited. So I welcome all, and now I hand over the mic to Professor Pragna Parikh. Hello, Pragna madam.
Yes. I now Professor to speaker. Over to Dolly.
Thank you, Professor Pragna. Today's topic is immunity in relation to COVID-19. And today's speaker is Professor Ashok Kumar. Professor Ashok Kumar is a renowned administrator, researcher, and an academician having an experience of 40 years. His field of specialization is radiation biology, cancer biology, and immunology. From a young awardee in 1977 to Bharat Mata Award by Indian Institute of Oriental Heritage in 2014 and Lifetime Achievement Award in 2019, he had it all. Professor Kumar is a recipient of Humboldt Fellowship Germany in 1982-83. He has been invited as visiting scientist in Shia Medical University, Japan in 87, 92, 94, 97, 2000, 2003, 2007, and from 2010 to 2012. Professor Ashok has published 135 research papers and 35 students have been awarded PhD under his guidance. As an administrator from the position of head Department of Zoology, University of Rajasthan, Jaipur, from 1999 to 2002, Professor Ashok Kumar rose to the position of Vice Chancellor, Kanpur University, from 2011 to 2014. He got another term as Vice Chancellor, Gorakhpur University, 2014 to 2017. Presently, Professor Ashok Kumar is Vice Chancellor, Sri Kalaji Vedic University, Chittorgarh, Rajasthan, where he was appointed in 2018. Last but not the least, he is a singer, he is a stage performer, and all the youth festivals as Vice Chancellor started with his performance. And I'm sure today also, if time permits, he may sing a song for us. Because it is said that singing a song and listening a song increases the immunity. So over to Professor Ashok Kumar. My request to all the listeners and delegates, kindly mute the mic and throw the questions on the chat box, which will be answered once the speaker finishes the talk. Thank you. Professor Ashok Kumar.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Parimal Vyasji, Professor Haribhai Kateria ji, Dean Faculty of Science, Convener, Professor Dolly Kumar, Coordinator, Professor Pragna Parekh, Co-Coordinator, Dr. Shashikant Sharma, distinguished guests, and dear participants. First of all, I welcome you all on this webinar on immunity in relation to COVID-19 being organized by Department of Zoology, MS University, Baroda. Welcome. Well, as you all know that the topic of the day is immunity in relation to COVID-19. And as being introduced earlier, you all know that the world is affected by this virus, by this COVID-19 all over. And it is really a matter of concern for all of us. And the only unfortunate part is that since it is a new virus, nobody knows about it. So everybody is having some way or the other trying to find some ways, some means how to control it. And so before they control it, naturally, we have to have some precautionary measure that the virus should not be affected at all. As the severity of this particular virus is concerned, as you all know that in case here, it has already in the world today, about 67 lakhs people have been affected. And out of these 67 lakhs of people who have been affected by COVID, unfortunately, 3,94,000 are dead. In India, if we take as per today, 6th June, more than 2,36,117 persons are being affected, and unfortunately 6,643 people have died. The only plus point is that out of these, more than 1 lakh people have also recovered. So that's a good sign. So we are all concerned about it, and therefore what we say is, till we get a medicine, till we get a vaccine, we have to protect ourselves from this deadly virus. And for that reason, one has to have the immune system, our defense system, as good as possible. So today we will talk about our immune system and, of course, how we can increase our immune system so that we can fight with this system over here. Now let me share my slides over here. So immunity in relation to COVID-19. Naturally, you will like to know what is this COVID-19? As the name stands, CO stands for corona. Actually, this corona, it's the name of the virus which if you look under the electron microscope, it looks like that there is some spikes on it and it looks like a crown. And therefore, the word corona has been derived from a Latin word corona that means a crown. And the VI stands for virus and D stands for disease. And since the disease was being observed for the first time in 2019, so it is called as 19. So all over we say coronavirus disease 19, yani COVID-19. So as I said earlier, that in order to get protected from this deadly virus, we have to have our immune system as strong as possible. Naturally, you like to know what is immunity. Now, if we go back to the history of the immunity, how this term was being coined, it was as early as 430 BC. There was a Greek historian, Thucydides, who observed there was a plague in Athens. And for that plague, as you all know, it's a very deadly one. So many people were dying and so many people were suffering. And someone has to take care of them. And he observed that there were persons who were taking care of, some of them were not affected at all, where others were dying. He got concerned how these patients, which were served by these people, they are still surviving. To his surprise, he found that these are the persons who already had suffered plague earlier and they had recovered. And so once the disease is there by a particular strain of virus, it is observed that the second time, the same strain will not be affected with those affected survived person. It means now these people, they are being exempted. Therefore, this came the immune system, the discipline of immunology grew out of the observation that individuals who had recovered from certain infectious diseases are thereafter protected from the disease. It has been derived from the Latin term immunis, means exempt. Now the next time this disease will not happen. You might have heard, aapne ghar mein ko bhi suna hoga, some people might get chicken pox or smallpox, although it is very painful. But even our elders, our colleagues, they tell us, okay, it is painful, but once it has happened, in the next time, in near future, if it will not happen, now you are exempted. So that is this meaning, immunis means exempted. And that is what, if we are exempted, naturally we will withstand with this COVID-19 too. And how it happens so, as you all know, that we live in an environment. You can't escape from the environment. You have to live within the environment. And once you live in the environment, there are various factors which are affecting our lives. There are physical factors like radiations, the ultraviolet rays which are coming from this space. You cannot avoid it. Then there are chemicals to which you are affected. There are millions of chemicals, difficult to name one chemical or the other. And third is most important is biological factors. And among the biological factors, the important ones are bacteria and virus. But there are other disease-causing organisms biologically. No doubt there are bacteria, there are virus, but there are fungi also which can cause the disease. There are certain protozoans, they may be parasites, they can also affect the disease. So all those organisms which can cause disease, they are in general called as pathogens. Now the question is, I'm just taking one example because we are talking about COVID, so that's a virus. So the big question to all minds must be that how a virus enters the host. Now there are various entry point of the virus. The one is the skin, through skin, of course. From the skin, it is very, very difficult to enter inside the body. Skin is one of the best barrier for any pathogens. It can only enter through the skin unless and until there is a scratch or there is some injury in our skin. So that if there is opening through the scratch or injury, virus can come. Otherwise, the body is so well protected by the skin all over that the virus cannot enter. The second point is conjunctiva is through the eyes, the mucus lining of the eyes. Then there is a respiratory tract. If you just naturally, you have to respire, you have to take air, and it can come through that. So it needs an opening. Or there may be a gastrointestinal tract, means you will take food, then it will come through this tract. And of course, it can come to the sexual contact. And the third and the last one is the arthropod. Well, as I said earlier, nothing can enter into your skin unless until it is injured or scratched. But how these parasites can come? They can come if a mosquito bites, and that's how it can come. And I hope you know that one of the best example is the malaria, which comes through the female anopheles. So that is what the entry point is. Now, once the virus, for example, enters in our body, and if we talk about the COVID goes to the lung epithelial cells. This is a virus over here. There's a spikes. It enters inside the cell. It has a receptor site. And once it enters inside cell, it generally has to interact with the DNA of the host cell. And then because of the various methods, in this case, of course, it is mRNA itself. So it doesn't need the help of the DNA over here. It can itself replicate within the host, and a number of viruses can be produced, which can be released. And that's why if the virus gets attached to the epithelial of the lung cells, it will multiply. And because of the multiplication, the virus load will be so much that the whole lung will be affected and the person will be affected. So the question is, before we get a drug or a vaccine, we have to take precautions. As you know, it is being said, the entry point can be through your various methods, and the one has to be because you always try, maybe touching your nose, maybe touching your mouth, maybe touching your eyes through your hands. So it is always recommended you have to wash your hands, you have to wet your hands, you have to apply soap here, you have to rub it for about 20 seconds, because it is said the virus has a layer of the fat, and that fat is soluble in the soap. So if you have the 20 seconds, then the virus will be out. And then again, you rinse your hands and you turn off the tap and you can dry hand. This is one way. The other way is that if you do not have water and soap, if you are traveling, then you can use sanitizers, but these sanitizers should at least have 60% alcohol, because that is only effective in killing the germs. This sanitizer can be in gel form or can be liquid form. And again, you have to rub for 20 seconds, let it dry. Do not rinse or wash sanitized hands immediately after use, because the application effect starts within 30 seconds and kills bacteria and most of the virus. So hand sanitizer sprays are also effective as they spread immediately on vast surface. So for good hygiene of your family, form a habit to use sanitizers. Now, this is what is being said. You have to have the mask. You see, it reduces airborne transmission. This is an infected asymptomatic person without mask. If it respires or if it coughs, and this fellow who is having mask will get minimum, and this will get the maximum. But if this is also with the mask, minimum of the virus will spread out, and this person will be protected. So you have to have this in general. And of course, sometimes, because the entry point is through the nose or through your mouth, so what you can do is that you can have the nasal steam. So just inhale steam, all bacteria and germs present in the nose and throat will die, and the mucus in the sinus will become thin and come out. So if your upper respiratory tract is clean of germs, there are least chances of getting respiratory infection. So try to take moderately hot steam for about 10 minutes every day. Once in a while, you can also take a sauna bath or steam bath if it is possible for you, and because this will increase the blood circulation and body detoxification. So these are some of the precautionary methods, preventive method. It is not to boost your system to avoid it, but it can have prevention at the first side. So before I go to the real immune response over here, I would like to introduce 2-3 terms which we will be using it. So all these molecules which are pathogens or foreign, they may provoke a specific immune response, may. So those molecules which may, they are called as the antigen. But those molecules that will always provoke a specific immune response, they are called as the immunogens. So all immunogens are antigens, but all antigens are not immunogens. It means there is a size of the molecule. It has to have a minimum size, and if it is a minimum size, then only it can provoke a specific immune response over here. There is an interesting word called as the hapten. There is a small foreign molecule that is not antigenic, but it can couple to a molecule within our system as a carrier, and then it becomes antigenic. And once it is antigenic, in combination with a carrier molecule, we have to be very careful. I am giving you one example of penicillin. Sometimes, if you are advised to have an injection of penicillin, the doctor first asks you, have you ever had penicillin? If you had taken an injection, then okay, he will give you another dose. But you say, no, this is for the first time. Then the doctor will say, okay, he will give you a very small micro injection, and then will ask you to wait for half an hour or 1 hour. And if there is no reaction, then only penicillin is being given. Because these hapten, if they are not being tested before giving, sometimes they can be fatal to the organism. So one has to be very careful with this. So let's talk about the immune system. So as the immune system says, it is a defense against infection or pathogen. Now there are 2 types of mechanism basically, non-specific and a specific defense mechanism. As I said earlier, there are pathogens like bacteria, like virus, like fungi, like protozoans. So irrespective of these pathogens, the body will react. And it will react whether it is virus, whether it is protozoa, in the same way as the other. And whereas in the specific ones, if the virus is there, there will be different mode of action. If there is a bacteria, there is different mode of action. If there is a parasite, there is different mode of action. If there is fungi, there is different mode of action. Different types of cells are involved. And that is why it is the specific defense mechanism. There is one more definition over here. The first line of defense, the second line of defense, and the third line of defense. So the nature is so good, you see, it has provided such a beautiful defense mechanism to our body is. So there are various barriers, first line, second line, and third line. I hope you must have observed many times when one VIP comes to your town. So there is always line of defense at the point where he is to be received, maybe airport. And then all the path through which it goes to the place where there is a meeting or there is a lecture. So all the city also has a defense. And thirdly, all the defense is there at the place where he has to have a meeting or he has to give a lecture during election or during whatever it is. Same is here. The body has such a beautiful system of defense, first line, second line, and the third line. Among the first line, as I said earlier, skin is the largest defense organ of the immune system. Whereas the second line of defense is the certain cells, phagocytic white cells, antimicrobial proteins, and some of the inflammatory responses. Whereas the third line has a special cells, lymphocytes. It may act as such, or it can secrete antibodies so as to kill the pathogen. So let us see one by one. The barriers of infection, as I said, as you say, skin is an inherent barrier. The moment you are born, you are covered with a skin. So it is the first line of defense. And skin affords a formidable barrier to most viruses. And only after this barrier, if it is breached, the virus is able to infect the cells. So skin, as you know, it's very important one. आप अभी you are sitting in a room, maybe in your home or maybe office or in a convention room, and you feel that the room is very clean. But mind it, the room looks to be clean, but still there are viruses, there are bacteria around you. But you are protected, you are not affected. How it is possible? It is only possible because your immune system is working very well. It is trying to defend. It has not allowed the pathogens to affect your body. But naturally, the bacteria and virus will be remain there. वो तो शरीर में रहेंगे ही रहेंगे. So what you have to do is, therefore, it is desired that no doubt skin is a very good barrier, but you have to take care of your skin also. What I want to say is that please take regular bath. So if you take a regular bath, many of the bacteria virus which are sticking on your body skin will be washed out. And then you have to rub, because to dry up your skin, and during rubbing also, then what will happen? Some of the bacteria virus will be out. So another important point over here is the skin has acidic in nature. pH is only 3 to 5. And that is why in this low pH, many of the bacteria cannot grow. The skin has a secretion called sebum. It contains chemicals which are toxic to bacteria. The various organs are lined by mucosa, and it secretes some mucosa. For example, the stomach, which carries the food, it carries the hydrochloric acid, which is a very important acid, and also protein digesting enzymes, especially the hydrochloric acid. If by chance you have taken a food which has some bacteria, the hydrochloric acid will try to kill it. Another is the saliva. If you take the food, you churn it and खूब चबा चबा के खाइए, so that the food is already mixed up with the saliva of the mouth. And this saliva of the mouth contains lysozyme, which can kill some of the bacteria. इसीलिए कहते हैं कि भोजन जो है वो चबा चबा के खाना चाहिए, खूब चबा चबा के खाइए. One core, at least you have 32 bites, then only the saliva will be mixed up, and also you will be killing some of the bacteria. A very interesting part is lacrimal, tears from your eyes. When you cry sometimes, tears comes out from your eyes. Nature is so beautiful. You see, the tears are also good to kill some of your bacteria which may be around your eyes, because they also contain lysozyme. So once you cry, there are tears, and you wipe those tears, that tears also kill some of the bacteria around the eye. इसलिए कभी मैं नहीं चाहता कि आपको कभी दुख हो, कभी आप क्राई करें, कभी आप रोएं. लेकिन अगर आप रोएं, so you see that you are still beneficial by your tears, which will remove many of the bacteria. And of course, as I said earlier, in the digestive tract and the respiratory tract, it is all lined by the mucus, and that mucus helps us to take care of the bacteria which may be coming through these systems over here. So what happens? If you just experience inside your nose, there are hairs, and these are mucus coated. So once you inhale, these particles are also inhaled. Dust particles are inhaled by virus, by bacteria. But the mucosa of the upper respiratory tract is ciliated. So what will happen? The cilia will sweep dust and bacteria-laden mucus away from it, from the passage, and that is how you can be protected. Now, if the food is there inside the gastric, the stomach, it has a low pH, as you see here, and the low pH also inactivates most of the bacteria. However, some of the bacteria are resistant, but most of the bacteria you can kill. So by chance, even then, because of scratch, the pathogens have come. So there are various mechanisms like phagocytes. There are cells which can eat. There are natural killer cells which will kill. Then there is the inflammatory cells because of the certain cells like macrophage, mast cells, white blood corpuscles, and chemicals. And then there is a phenomena called complementation. Combining all these methods, it can kill the pathogens. And of course, there are proteins which are antimicrobial and in the blood and the tissue fluid, which will kill these bacteria and the virus. For example, I take phagocytes. Phagocytic cells are large cell. Macro means large, and therefore phagous means the particles over here, the body. So the cells, large cells are chief phagocytic cells. Some of them are free, they move throughout the region. Some are fixed, like in liver, called as Kupffer cells, in brain, microglia. Neutrophils are phagocytic cells which keep on circulating. They are for the infectious material, like bacteria or the virus. But if there's a parasite, they will be killed by eosinophils. And of course, a wide range of bacteria are killed by the mast cells. So these are done here. There's a small example over here. There's a large phagocyte cell over here, macrophage. There's a microbe comes, adheres, it forms a pseudopodia, it covers, it makes a somal body or phagosome, it brings to inside the cell. There is a lysosome over here. It releases acid hydrolase enzyme, which breaks this pathogen into smaller pieces, and it's being removed from the body. That is how it can kill it. But even then, the virus is also smart. You see, it can come. So it has already come. Once it has already come, now the cells have to be active. And the cells are mostly the lymphocytes which are active, and therefore the lymphocytes major form the immune system over here. So there are various lymphoid organs which form the lymphocytes. There are primary, like the bone marrow, the long ones in our legs, or for example here. This primary, because it's prepares the blood cells over here, the thymus gland, where some of the blood cells matured. Then there's secondary lymphoid organs like spleen, lymph nodes on various parts of our body or system here. Then there are tertiary lymphoid organs, which are cutaneous and associated with the lymphoid tissues. So we have primary, secondary, and tertiary, where the cells are being born, they are being produced, then they are mature, then they are being carried. So the whole system is a lymphatic channel over here. Lymphocytes, lymphatic channel. And the lymphatic channel is, it carries the lymphocytes, it carries the fluid. It is a passive system, means one-way system. Only it brings to the heart. This is all bringing to the heart. Circulation is to the heart over here. And the lymph, just like in the blood vascular system, you have blood. In the lymphatic system, there is a lymph. So lymph moves towards the heart. One of the important points to remember here, there is no pump to circulate these lymphocytes. As I said earlier, there is a blood vascular system which has a heart, and heart pumps the blood cells to various parts of the body. But in this case of the lymphatic system, there is no pump. So the question is, so how these lymphocytes can move? Because if they do not move, you cannot expect to have interaction with the pathogens. They can enter anywhere. So they have to be in circulation. These lymphocytes, they mainly circulate once you have muscular action. Once you have skeletal muscular action, then only these lymphocytes, they move. And for that muscular action, I hope now you can guess what I want to say is that you have to do exercise. Therefore, exercise is being advised. Therefore, yoga is being advised. And if you do exercise, it is being said minimum of 30 minutes, yoga also for regular periods, then only you can expect a good health, because it will help to move the lymphocytes effectively. And these lymphocytes are like chowkidar. They have a surveillance. So whenever they will move around, they will be effective in killing the bacteria or the virus. So you must exercise regularly as possible. So this is all the lymphatic system over here. As I said, there are various organs, the thymus, there's a small white gland which is just above the heart region over here. There's a spleen on the ventral side of the stomach over here. There's a long bone marrow, the long cells over here. Then various of the nodes are here, which has the storage of the lymphocytes. There are the vessels over here. And then there are various patches. So all these systems make a lymphocytic system over here. Now, beside these lymphocytes are two types. There is the thymus T cell because they mature in the thymus. Then the bone marrow cells which mature in the bone marrow release B cells. The T cells are again of two types, TH cell, T helper cell, and then T cell, TC, T cytotoxic cell. And of course, these B cells. Another cell is dendritic cell over here, which is being formed over here. Whereas on the other side, there are various cells like WL, RBC, and so many cells are there, dendrites and dendritic cells. Here's a picture. Now, here's an organism. So these all cells, especially the lymphocytes, they form an umbrella over an organism so as to protect you. Now, immunity is of two types. One is the cell-mediated, another is the humoral. You see, this is the human being over here. This virus is trying to come. It has already come. Once it comes inside our system, there are macrophages which try to phagocytize it. There are killer cells which try to kill it. There are B cells which try to have the antibodies to kill it. So these are various mechanisms. So out of this, cell-mediated means once there is a cell-to-cell contact. I hope you must be seeing Mahabharata. In that case, you must have seen earlier जो होती थी लड़ाई person to person होती थी, भाले भाले से person to person. That is, cell has to come in contact with a pathogen. Whereas nowadays, what is happening? You have a missile. You just struck a missile, it will reach to kilometers away. That is the humoral ones. Cells secrete a substance called antibody, and it can reach to this level. So we have cell-mediated and humoral. Now here is an example. The T cells are mostly having a cell-mediated immune response. There is a cytotoxic T cell which have an attachment with an antigen cell, and it's a whole mechanism how an antigen is brought closer to the cell, and these recognize only those antigens which have a class 1 MHC molecule over here. There is a specific type molecules which forms this contact with this antigen, with this cytotoxic T cells. There are other types of antigen presenting cells. Macrophages comes, brings here over here, and then it also gets attached by a helper cells, but it needs MHC2 molecule. So different classes of molecules are involved in getting these cells attached to a pathogen and trying to kill it. The idea is cell-to-cell attachment. That is cell-mediated. If you take more closely over here, that is cytotoxic lymphocyte over here. This is a target cell. It has to kill it. So it gets attached to here. It gets porphyrins. It perforates, makes holes, secretes over here, and then ultimately it kills it. Cell-to-cell contact. But there are other cells, as I said, B lymphocytes. They are being produced in bone marrow or during fetus time till the bone is not formed. This is the liver. So they will form the stem cells. You have a lymphocyte stem cell. You have a B cell, and that is matured B cell. It is released over here. But there are other cells which needs further maturity that goes to the thymus, and therefore they are called as the T cell. And ultimately, they all make the lymphatic system over here. So what happens? Once there is a B cell, it comes by the chemotactic factor. It recognizes some bacteria has come, some virus has come. Immediately, it tries to have an interaction with this, and then it divides into two types, a plasma cell and a memory cell. The plasma cell is the cell which secretes these antibodies, and the memory cell is the cell which will keep the memory of that particular antigen. So next time when the same strain comes, the memory cells are immediately active and there will not be any effect. इसीलिए पहले मैंने कहा था, they are now exempted. Once they are exempted, for the first time they will be affected because they were not experienced. They do not have any memory cells. But the second time when it comes, they have a memory cell, and therefore it will kill this pathogen next time when it comes. So these are the antibodies. These are the protein molecules. They are globulins because they are in the immune system. Therefore, they are called as the immunoglobulin. They are Y-shaped structure. They have heavy chains, light chains. Then they have this fixed and the variant factors here. There are antigen binding sites over here. To this antigen binds here. It all depends on the epitope system in the antibodies. There are 5 types of antibodies mainly. Depends upon the attack of this pathogen they release. But the first antibody which is released when anything attacks is the immunoglobulin M, IgM. And later on it is IgG, IgE, IgD, IgA. So these are the 5 antibodies are being present. If you want to remember, somebody asks you how many antibodies are there, you can say there are 5 types of antibodies. And the best thing to remember is as their role damage, because they damage the pathogens. If you remember the word damage, D stands for IgD, A stands for IgA, M stands for IgM, G stands for IgG, and G. So you can always remember over here. Now, this is what I've said. This is the antigen. Pathogen has come. It has stimulated the immune system. Antibodies are being secreted over here, and it gets attached. And so before it reaches to the any cell within the system, in the blood vascular system or in the lymphatic channel system, it gets engulfed and the antigen is being destroyed or killed. That is what it will happen. There's a virus over here. It has a lot of spikes, and these antibodies are now working over here, and ultimately it will be killed. The same here, the one, these are the T cells, helper cell, it helps. The B cell, the plasma cell, which secretes the antibodies, it forms the memory cells, which will form the antibodies as soon as they get it. I just want to tell you, in the same basis, you must have heard, we are trying to treat COVID-19 patient by a mechanism called as the plasma therapy. The whole idea is a COVID-19 person, if it has affected, it must have developed certain antibodies to fight with it. And if that person is recovered, then this recovered person, we take this plasma, blood plasma from this recovered person, because it must have the antibodies against the virus, against the antigen virus. So we take the blood plasma from this recovered COVID-19 person, take their antibodies over here, and then we try to give these antibodies to these COVID-19 affected patient. It has been observed that one person can give life to minimum of 2 persons at least. So this is how we can think of. So this is on a trial, and let us hope that this plasma therapy will be successful to treat this immune deficient persons and also COVID-19 affected person. So this is the basis of the immune system. And if we have to fight, if we have active, if we are able to form the competent cells like T cells, if we are competent to form the B cells, then we can always have combat with this COVID-19. As soon as it comes, the cells will try to either kill it directly, cell mediated, or will try to produce antibodies to kill it. So the objective is how to boost immune system, how to boost immunity. So now I will concentrate on the immune boosters, how we can boost our immune system so that we are not affected over here. One of the bases is the food. One must have very hygienic food. And it is being said, the whole plant food is always good. For being healthy and disease-free, improving overall diet habit plays a very important role. Whole food means more vegetables and fruits in their original forms. You have to take fruits in their original forms over here. And also high fiber grains, seeds, beans, and nuts. And all these foods which have a low gluten and high fiber, they are highly recommended. because they are easy to digest and they are full of nutrients like vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, the chemical present in the plants, and antioxidant, which are important to kill all the free radicals over here. So these help to keep cells healthy and boost immunity. So fill 2/3 of your plate with these plant-based foods over here. So what you need is that you should have the antioxidant-rich foods. Nowadays, it is being said most of these diseases are because of the various oxidative process by these pathogens. And therefore, if you have an antioxidant system, these pathogens will be destroyed. So the entire immune system is based how well each cell of the body functions naturally, how these cells they communicate. So antioxidants are required for immunity of each cell. Therefore, diet rich in antioxidant nutrient increases immunity at cellular level, and these cell-mediated immune responses play a major role in boosting immunity and antioxidant. And for this, you need very colorful, means yellow color food, orange fruits, red color fruits, blue color fruit, purple foods. I hope you know what exactly it is because these have more of beta carotene. For example, the carrots. These are the beta carotene in the carrots. For example, the apricots. For example, the asparagus. For example, the avocado. For example, the mango, spinach, grapefruit, beets, kiwi, pomegranate, blue and red berries. You have so many choices and one should have these foods over here. Then of course, we all say about the Ayurveda and most of the Ayurvedic system, they believe in the herbal treatment. For example, the ashwagandha. It is being said the magical power of healing cold and cough and viral infection. It boosts immunity naturally if you consume daily. There is a called as guduchi. I hope guduchi. It is an antioxidant immunomodulatory properties. I hope you know it. They also called the giloy, which is being used, or muleti, which is being commonly used for when we have cough and cold, or flu. It is smooth throat and any irritation in the upper respiratory tract. And of course, the peepli over here, it helps in treating lower respiratory tract infection and bronchitis and asthma. So these herbs can always increase. And then you have to have eat more of healthy fat, mind it, healthy fat, not fat, but healthy fat. So what is that healthy fat? Which is a low fat diet, is strengthen our immune system. So limit your dietary fat. Long-term consumption, if you take long-term consumption of fatty acid, then it will affect your white blood cells function. So please don't take very high fatty acid foods, and you take only the low fat food here and avoid white flour items like pastries, I'm sorry to say, like cookies, like pizza, like hydrogenated vegetable oil, butter, ice cream, and the red meat. Good fats are poly and mono unsaturated fats that are important for good health, like the olive oil, like the sunflower oil, like the peanut oil, sesame oil, avocado, nuts, soya bean, tofu, for example. And you see, this is omega-3. It's a type of the polyunsaturated fatty acid. It has a long chain. It is very good for good health. It has a powerful health benefit for body and brain. It enhances the functional activity of the immune B cells. As I said earlier, B cells are important. They form the antibodies and supports immune system to fight against viruses. So the natural food source of omega-3 is fatty fish. But one can take omega-3 supplements for equal benefits. Also, some vegetarian food has little of omega-3, like chia seeds, like flax seeds, like walnut, spinach, cauliflower, berries, leafy greens. But these vegetable foods have a very limited omega-3. It is only the fatty fish which has the maximum one. And of course, there is a super fruit called as noni. Its rhizome is very much like a pineapple, but it is not that tasty as the pineapple is. But it is really having a lot of potential antioxidants. There is a chemical called as the scopolamine, which is antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antifungal, and antihistamine from the allergy. So it boosts your immune system. It helps to increase natural killer cells and of course killing the virus infected cells. It is full of beta carotene, vitamin C and E. So you can see it's such a wonderful fruit. If you get it, tries to use it. Of course, you know this haldi, curcumin, is a natural compound present in turmeric roots and that gives a bright yellow color, healing power to fight infection. And apart from spice as you use, it has a lot of important role relieving infection, inflammation, acting as a natural pain reliever. So consuming turmeric in a natural way is to help to boost the immune system by increasing the immunomodulating capacity of our body. It works as an antimicrobial substance and helps prevent cold and flu. And include more turmeric. So please include more turmeric in your diet. Of course, a limited one, not so much, as a supplement to get immunity against seasonal changes affecting you. कभी कभी हो सकता है कभी आपको मदर ने दादी ने कभी जरूर आप सोने से पहले कभी कहा होगा कि हल्दी वाला दूध पी लो. That's a very common belief in our system over here. Whenever we have some pain or something happens to us, we are not happy, we always take milk with curcumin or the haldi. The garlic power, naturally, the haldi and the garlic powers, they have a lot of benefits for medicinal also centuries. It contains a compound alline that helps in the immune system and removes germs and removes toxins. And when you raw garlic is crushed, chewed or sliced or consumed, I think this is the highest health benefit. So regular intake of garlic prevents common cold and flu, and garlic supplements and garlic powder available to fulfill the need, but natural food source is the best one. So try to naturally. Then of course there are various micronutrients which are important for our cellular growth and repair and immunity. And these are the three essential ones like zinc. But zinc is not stored in the body. So regular intake is important. So what you do is your rich source are beans, nuts, yogurt, chickpea, seeds, dairy products, seafood, and meat. There is a selenium. It is an antioxidant, helps to protect the body. It's in garlic, broccoli, Brazil nuts, barley, walnuts, tuna, fish, and whole grain foods. Then of course, you need the iron. It helps to carry, because iron is important, because if you are having respiration, naturally it is the hemoglobin, which has the heme, which carries the oxygen to various parts of the body. So it is found in beans, in broccoli, dates, fig, lentils, and green leafy vegetables over here. Of course, vitamins are important. Out of these vitamins, vitamin B6, B12 are, and the vitamin A, C, D, and E, they are the best source. And they should get from the daily food as body absorbs and uses them when they state. So if you take so good diet, so these will come directly and absorb. However, you can supplement if you are not having these by vitamins B6 tablets over here. It's also important. It is present, of course, in bananas, potatoes, chickpeas, cod liver oil, sweet potatoes, carrots, black-eyed peas, spinach, broccoli. They are rich source of vitamin A. Vitamin E is very powerful antioxidant that helps fight infection over here. The sources of vitamin E are almonds, peanuts, hazelnuts, sunflower, seeds, spinach, and broccoli. So such a beautiful food supplements which are there. Of course, you have to maintain vitamin B12. And B12 is powerhouse, and that helps to DNA, nerves, and blood cells. So for a healthy brain function, you must have B12. It is necessary for the production of white blood cells and essential for proper immune system function. So you have cereals, you have milk, you have dairy products, you have noni, you have unsweetened soya milk, you have sprouted and germinated grains, vegetarian sources of B12, the organ meat, sardine, fish, beef, eggs, tuna fish, salmon are non-vegetarian food sources. Vegetarians have difficulty in getting it enough quantitatively, so you can supplement by other methods over here. And of course, for lungs, it is B3 is highly protective over here. And vitamin C is essential again for tissue repair, body growth, and healthy heart, immunity, and skin. So the body cannot produce it, unfortunately. So we have to take it from food or supplement it. It is being said that intake of vitamin C has to be 90 milligram daily because it is also a water soluble vitamin. So it is found in many fruits and vegetables. You know it: oranges, amla, guavas, bell pepper, lemon, spinach, kiwi, pineapple. And vitamin helps to encourage the production of white blood cells, which in turn protects the body against infection. So if vitamin C is not sufficient in your daily diet, include vitamin C supplement. That is recommended. Of course, vitamin D. The power of vitamin D is very essential to fight disease, and it has lots of benefits against cancer, against diabetes, against hypertension, against autoimmune system, and against multiple sclerosis. So most of the people, they must have the vitamin D. It is needed. It is being said in this COVID-19 also, in some of the patients, it is one study says, and most of the patients who suffered COVID-19, and unfortunately, some of them, they died, they had one common factor: they had the deficiency of vitamin D. It means vitamin D is very important so as to maintain your immune system. It is very much available in the mushroom, in the cod liver oil, in the salmon, in the tuna, in the egg yolk, in the milk, in the orange juice, in the yogurt, and some of the cereal which you serve. And for that, it's important to have sun bath. So sun is the natural source of the vitamin D. And as I said earlier, it is good because it helps in the absorption of calcium for the bones. So you take a sun bath, but on an empty stomach, and eat half an hour post that. Then you can take a cold water bath over here. You can apply coconut or olive oil or sesame oil on the exposed skin. Taking bath, also cover your head and face till wet towel, and at least you have sun about 10 minutes, and it has to be ideal time is before 8 a.m. and after 5 p.m. because otherwise the sun rays are harmful after this time. So you have a vitamin D overseers. So what is done by the vitamin D? Why it is so important now? As I said, vitamin D is not only doing immune system, but it is said that it can also affect the virus. There are two systems or mechanism, defensins and the catalysidine. It is said they can kill this bacteria or the virus, here. So this is the about the utility of the vitamin D. It can have direct effect on the virus. It is being speculated. Of course, you have yogurt, and yogurt is very important over here. It helps to prevent various bacteria. And the one thing is good that it helps to have this, it's a probiotic, and it balances the gut bacteria. So it keeps a good balance of your gut. It improves your digestion, and that is good for the heart, and that is good, reduces allergies and support immune system. And also yogurt is good in protein, source of vitamin A and zinc. So take most of the natural source. You can have homemade yogurt to boost your energy, to boost your immunity. And of course, drink more water. Everyone saying that he is 70 kg or 80 kg or 90 kg, but the most of the weight is because of your water. The 60 to 70% is water. So you have to drink water at least 2.5 liters per day. And because this will provide cells with clean oxygenated blood and flush out toxins, all vital organs and muscles will be clean and well hydrated. If they are well hydrated, they will function at their best, and water also helps to absorb important vitamins, minerals, and nutrients from food, enhance the chances of staying healthy. So water is recommended. You must take it. These days they say you take warm water, that is especially during this time, so that if anything is stuck up in your throat is also being cleaned. And if you take a water, why not take a cup of water early in the morning, which was kept for about 8 hours in a copper metal glass. It is very well used, and experts say in Ayurvedic it is called as a tamra gel, and it balances the three doshas in our bodies, dosh vata, dosh kapha, and dosh pitta. They are being gently infused in water with the positive health properties of the copper. And it is being shown that copper is antimicrobial and it fights an antioxidant, improves immunity, and supports good health. So the best way to drink water in a copper mug is the morning after sorting it for about 8 hours. And of course, the green tea, because it contains polyphenols. And these polyphenols, the phytochemicals, are very rich source of antioxidants. So if you want to boost immune system, you take this. It also helps in the chemical polyphenol called catechin. It helps to kill the influenza virus. And therefore, it is important. But as the color says, this is without milk. So you take the green tea without milk. Why? Because if you take the milk, milk always combined with these polyphenols. And if the milk proteins will combine with polyphenols, there will not be any effect of the polyphenols and it becomes ineffective. So take green tea without milk. Of course, as I said, exercise is always important. You have to be active physically, mentally, walking, cycling, swimming, sports. And this is also important because I said, if you will not do exercise, your lymphocytes will not be able to circulate. So in order to have a better lymphocytic function, this exercise is a must. And the best way is the yoga. So if we are having yoga and the meditation, that is what is being said, you have the pranayam, you have the breathing techniques, which fully supports and improves your functional abilities of lungs, especially, and increases lung capacity. I think this is one of the most important part, at least in the COVID-19, because it is affecting the lungs itself. So yoga must be one of the best practices you can do. And above all, you have to reduce stress. Don't be stressed. Take things easy because nothing is going to improve if you are stressed. परेशान होने से कोई problem solve नहीं होती. You have to think, you have to be cool and calm to solve the problem, not because of stress. Because immune system is reduced under the stress condition. It will not be able to find the bacteria and virus if you are stressed. Because stress is the hormone, corticosteroids are released in excess. When the corticosteroids are released in excess, most of our immune cells are become ineffective. So enjoy yourself, enjoy this webinar, feel good, feel happy, and relax, and you will enjoy it. And of course, you have to have good sleep. Good sleep only you can do once you are relaxed, once you have already rest, no problem, no tension. So at least 8 hours sleep is very good. I know it is difficult to have 8 hours of sound sleep, but as much as you can have a proper sleep, and you can always do this sleep while you do yoga. You have this sleeping regime. You can have a small smooth music. You can have the aroma therapy over here. So try to have good sleep. That will help you. And above the stress, loneliness, lack of exercise, poor dietary habit, nicotine and heavy drinking should not be taken, because nicotine and heavy drinking alcohol weakens your immune system. Nicotine increases cortisol levels, therefore it reduces B cell antibody formation and T cell response to antigen. So it disturbs the immune system, and excessive drinking can reduce immune system response because this alcohol gets changes into acetaldehyde and this impairs the lung function. So this leads to the high risk of infection when a virus is comes. So all those viruses which are affecting your lung system, the COVID-19 for example, I think better to avoid the alcohol over here. Last but not least, I think we cannot do away anything without saying about Ayurveda. As you see that we have Ministry of Ayush, which has this Ayurvedic system, the homeopathic system, the Unani system, and the Siddha system together. But they say the Ministry of Ayush has released a general care uh, guideline for you. They say the general measures, as I said, drink warm water throughout the day, daily practice yogasana, pranayama, meditation for at least 30 minutes, as advised the Ministry of Ayush. Spices like haldi, as I told you, jeera, dhania, Lasun are recommended in cooking. Then we have Ayurvedic immunity promoting measures. You take Chyawanprash, maybe 10 gram in the morning, and diabetes should avoid taking, they take sugar-free Chyawanprash, it is available. You drink herbal tea, as I said. You can have the herbal tea which keep all this dalchini, kali mirch, and you have this dry ginger, you have monakka, the raisin, once or twice a day. Add jaggery, the natural sugar, fresh lemon for your juice intake. You take a golden milk, as I said, haldi, doodh mein haldi milaiye, haldi turmeric, and you have a simple Ayurvedic procedure. You can have nasal application. You apply sesame oil or coconut oil or ghee in both the nostrils so that in the morning and the evening it is being done. You have this coconut or sesame in the oil, mouth for 2-3 minutes, and spit followed by warm water rinse. This can be done once or twice in a day. And this is once you have the cough and it is the sore throat, as I said, steam inhalation with fresh podina leaves or ajwain can be practiced once a day. This is lavang powder mixed with the natural sugar. Honey can be taken 2-3 times a day in case of cough or throat. And these measures generally treat normal dry coughs and sore throat. Moreover, it is best to naturally consult doctors. For all these intakes, I think doctor should be consulted before paying because of other side effects. So this is the Ayurvedic system over here in general. And you must have heard about the Kada. So the Ayush Mantralaya also say Kada, a lot of jadi booties are there. There are lots of combination preparation. And the one is here is the Tulsi Kada. It's made of the ossimum, the Tulsi leaves over here. So the Kadas of different preparation of jadi and booties, they are very good. So what exactly this Kada does? It has the herbs and spices, including, the, for example, tulsi, dalchini, kali mirch, you have dry ginger, you have munakka. So these are all Ayurvedic system. If you drink healthy diet, it keeps you healthy, reduce risk of contracting certain infections over here. And Ayush Mantralaya says there is one more saying called as the Chashmani Bhatti over here. Basically, it is Galoy, which is being done over here in form of bhatti. It helps. So these are all Ayurvedic system. Of course, there is a very Ayurvedic system is very peculiar and different system. So some Ayurvedic will be able to tell you more in details over here. I just talked about general. And last but not least, the homeopathic is also good. You see, we should see the homeopaths. I think before the COVID-19 was spreading, there are a lot of news about the must take arsenic album 30. So this is one of the thing which is being generally taken during common cold and cough. So it is also recommended so as to take against the COVID-19 over here. So these are all the various methods and things are there. And any drug or the vaccine, there are a lot of drugs and vaccines are being under trial. And let us hope and wish that we get an early drug and early vaccine. But I'm sure if you have the immune system proper, if you have a strong immune system, using all the healthy diets, using all the vitamins, taking water, doing exercise, sun bath, and homeopathic and Ayurvedic preparation, I think we will come over, we will win over the COVID-19 and COVID-19 will not affect us. So mind it, your immune system should be as best as possible over here. So I wish to express my sincere thanks to the organizer for inviting me for this talk. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Ashok Kumar. The chat box has number of questions. I think we can take up those questions and you can answer them one by one.
Yeah.
Over to
Sorry, sound is not.
Shashi.
Can you pass on the question to me? It's not.
Dr. Shashi.
Sir, we have certain questions in the chat box.
Yeah.
So we start with the first question by Harshita Sharma. What is your take on immunity passport as proposed by WHO?
Yeah, immunity passport as WHO has proposed is that you must have these all ingredients. You must have some sort of you must be having a good health. There's no temperature over here in the body. And you have responded to all these dietary factors over the vitamin deficiency and vitamins. You have taken it. So if you are having this strong health, you are here, then of course you can be allowed to move anywhere. So you should not have temperature, you should have a good health, and that's how you should not have any throat signal, you have any nasal system, and then you can get a passport over here to go anywhere you want.
Thank you so much for the answer, sir. Another question is that alcohol is volatile in nature, and how effective this alcohol can be when it is used as sanitizers. Can you please explain on alcohol sanitizers?
Yeah, alcohol sanitizers, that it should be at least 60% of alcohol. It is being said that the alcohol, 60% if it is there, it will kill the bacteria and the virus. So if it can kill it, then there's no problem. So you have to sanitize it by alcohol, but it should be 60%, then it gets killed. Just like soap, if you are using soap over here, it helps to kill the bacteria because it dissolves the fat layers, and alcohol can also have the killing effect. So 60% alcohol is needed.
Sir, another question, that is how good this plasma therapy is.
Yes.
Does that cause any immune response?
Yes, I think plasma therapy is a very old technique. It's not nothing new about it. It has been earlier used for various Ebola and other things, SARS-1 also. So this plasma therapy, one has to be careful because plasma therapy is that therapy in which we take the antibodies. So these antibodies are taken from the persons who have already been recovered from this COVID-19. And the recovery is only possible once they have developed antibodies. So these antibodies have to be taken from, but one has to be a lot of care about it because extraction of antibodies is also not very simple process. But it is being said that the antibody is being taken because if the antibodies are produced because of the antigen reaction, and antigen antibody reaction is very specific. And it has been observed that under trial also, many of the COVID-19 patients, they survived and they recovered earlier by treating with the plasma therapy. It is under trial, and so we hope that it can be possible. This is one of the good techniques over here, and the plasma therapy has lots of hope, except there are certain chances. Some reports say there are some deaths also, they were not surviving. But there are other technical problems, some physiological problems, but hypothetically, plasma therapy is one of the best method for the treatment of these diseases.
Sir, we have heard of certain cases, for example, in Wuhan, where a recovered person is again getting reinfected by the same virus. So, what's the take on immunity against that?
No, it cannot be the same virus because immunity, if it has recovered, either the immunity recovery was slow enough, the antibodies were not enough, the titer of the antibody was not enough to keep it for a longer period of time. And therefore, the certainly effect was there. Maybe because it is very unfortunate with these viruses, especially these evolved viruses, they change their conformation. So it is not once the virus is there, while slightly if it changes another conformation, it can affect again. So the same strain is not there, but unfortunately that is the main drawback of the treatment, because the moment we make a drug and we affect the virus has already changed its course. I hope you know about the HIV, right? It is very well known. Since so long it is known as the one virus is there, but still we are not able to have the vaccine, because the moment you treat it, it changes its conformation. So that is the very unfortunate point. So one has to be very practical. So in Wuhan, whatever it is either the person recovered had not enough of the titer of the antibodies so as to combat, or it was a slightly different virus again. You see, there are spikes on the virus, this COVID virus. The number of spikes varies. In India, fortunately, it is said that the number of spikes in Indian strain is less. In the Chinese strain, it is almost 5 spikes. In Indian strain, is only 1 or 2. That is why we see that the mortality is less. We were thinking a lot of mortality, but it's still the mortality less. We are fortunate that the strain is weak enough comparatively. So it depends if it has slightly changed.
Sir, how good it will be to have, or to develop herd immunity, or how it's going to be effective in our Indian scenario?
Yeah. Scientifically, herd immunity is a natural phenomena. It is the solution of the phenomena. But it is very risky also, because herd immunity says either 60 or 70% of the population is exposed, or 60 or 70 persons are vaccinated. So vaccination is a long story, but to expose 60-70% population, it's a risky phenomenon also, because people might die also if you are not able to, if we do not have a good immune system. So, but if they have the immune system good enough, they will recover it. They are infected, affected, and recovered because of the antibodies. So if 60-70% are infected, and if they get recovery, it is a wonderful herd immunity, but practically it doesn't happen. So many mortalities. And basically, if you think of the England Prime Minister says they just opened it for herd immunity, but so many mortalities started happening. So the people say, as said, that you have the herd immunity, but don't say it officially. So the New Zealand and Australia, they also had the herd immunity. You get them exposed and try to ask their fellows to have good immune system, so that if you are exposed, try to combat with it. But it's a risky phenomenon. It's a risky phenomenon. Now, at present, what you see here in Indian context, now after 4 lockdowns, we have unlocked it. So there's a lot of mixing of people will happen. So many people will be exposed. I think we are silently moving for herd immunity. It's risky, I say it's risky. I can't say it, I should not say it. But ultimately, this is the scientific approach of a problem. But it's risky, it has a risk factor. So many countries, they do not opt for herd immunity. But you can't do away with also. After 4 lockdown, we have to open it because of various reasons, economical reasons and other reasons.
Sir, there are certain traditional complementary medicines. How effective do you think it will work during this pandemic situation?
Yeah, it's a good question. What I would like to prefer, जब तक आपको मालूम नहीं है कौन सी चीज असर होगी, दवा होगी, तो ऑलवेज हिट एंड ट्रायल. जो कुछ भी आपको आता है वो करिए, हिट एंड ट्रायल. You have Ayurvedic system, you do it. I heard a lot of news from Gujarat that 25 people were treated with kadha and they were all okay. Some people have this vati, they are cured. So, like you have Unani, you have Siddha, you have Ayurvedic, you have homeopathic, you have allopathic. Try as much as you possible. And ultimately, the one which will be statistically significant should be used. So let us try. Let us not say this is good, this is bad. We should try only this, not this. So every system has some benefits, which I feel personally. So let it try first. Why not, as I said in the Gujarat, Kada is very good. 25 people in a hospital were cured. This what is 25 will be cured. Let us hope. Some people might be cured on homeopathic. So I personally believe till we get a drug, till we get a certain fixed one, let us try, let us find out which one is good. You see, nowadays, what is happening? Nowadays, it is all management. What is management? Management means combination. You have to combine homeopathic, allopathic, homeopathic, Ayurvedic, Unani, like that. Something will come out. Let's hope for the best.
Sir, nowadays we see a lot of farmers using the most advanced technologies of rather pesticides as well as fertilizers. So how good it is to consume the food products, coming out of those man-made chemicals. They are highly exposed or contaminated by these chemicals. Are they good enough
Yeah.
to consume for antioxidant levels also?
Yes. That's a very good question. I always say when I give a lecture on the antioxidant system, plant, vegetable, I also question the same question. How safe our vegetables are? That's a big question. And one has to be really very careful about this pesticide and insecticides to be used. It should be used in India, unfortunately, I don't want to comment upon, but banned chemicals, banned fertilizers, banned pesticides are being used here. लौकी जो चेंज की होती है वो 2 फीट की होने लगी like that. You have a lot of वेजिटेबल. हमारे जमाने में तो सीजन में ही मटर मिलती थी, अब तो हर जमाने में मटर मिलने लगी like that. So one has to be very careful about it. This has to be taken, and I always say how safe our vegetables are. We always say vegetables are good, but the big question, as you said, how safe our vegetables are. So naturally, this insecticide and pesticide should be under strict control, should be used under strict guidelines. We should. Unfortunately, we don't observe it. Sorry to say.
Sir, what all can be the newer methods of detecting this COVID-19? Like what we see is the ELISA-based or PCR-based techniques that we have come so far. So is there any newer method that can be developed and we can detect as soon as possible?
Yeah, I think development is the blood sample. You take a blood sample, like when you take the blood grouping, you take a blood, put it antigen antibody reaction within 10 minutes, it's over. So similarly, now a test are being provoked like that. You have the antigen in the patients, and then you develop the antibodies, and then you just put it blood sample over here, it will coagulate. So it is coming up. It is coming up within 10 minutes. These samples have been coming, newer methods have been coming. And one of them is the fastest one is this one, like the blood grouping. You take a sample of the blood sample, put it on a cover slide, and then you have like that an antigen antibody reaction, 10 minutes. It is hypothetically possible. Practically, we are developing because that is important over here. So the fast test is there. PCR, they take longer time. So they take at least 24 or 48 hours. In 48 hours. So I think rapid test is a must, because so as to get the result as early as possible, like the blood groups, like other vaccines. And scientists are working over here. Let us hope for the best. The whole world is now involved. You see, over this, if you see the Google, and you will find nothing else than corona and corona and corona.
Sir, what will be your takeaway message from this session? We have a lot of things, we have learned from the presentation, and I would like you to say, one last line that, we can always take care during this time of pandemic. What will be your takeaway message?
I simply want to say, you have to live with the corona. Jaan bhi hai, jaan bhi hai. Like that, you see, one should not be fearful. One simple thing is, I would like to say, for 95%, it is not going to affect much except mild effect. It is only the 5% which have additional problem like heart disease or diabetes. They have to be more careful, aging problem. Otherwise, Don't fear, don't have stress, keep healthy, enjoy, take rest, play, enjoy it. If you are not stressed, nothing is going to happen. So the immune system, you get immune to it, nothing will happen. अब हम लोग कोरोना की इतने इतने लेक्चर और न्यूज़ पढ़ते पढ़ते we are getting immune to it. है ना? Somebody will talk about corona now. We are immune to it. So it's like that. Uh, no fear psychosis, nothing. It is just only 5% are being really one has to take care. Otherwise, 95% is fine. But you have to take care, precaution. That's all. You have to sanitize yourself. You have to have a social distancing over here. You have to, that's all. Enjoy life, no problem. I don't think so.
Thank you so much, sir, for your for the information. And we have finished almost. We have covered all the questions till now. The audience have asked, and Dolly ma'am, I would like you to take over. Dolly ma'am, please take over the meeting.
Thank you very much, Professor Ashok, for the very, very informative lecture full of content. And this webinar, I would like to say, is possible, or all the webinars happening in the Faculty of Science or the university is happening because of the great motivation, encouragement by our Honorable Vice Chancellor and the Dean Faculty of Science, Professor Kataria. They are the, you can say, the backbone behind all the programs being so we are, there are always pros and cons of all the, things. The pros and cons here is the good advantage here of the lockdown is that we are able to catch those renowned academicians like Professor Ashok Kumar, who has given his time to us. Otherwise, with his schedule of, in India and abroad, it is very, very difficult to invite him here as a, speaker. So we could hear him. He has given so much of time. Thank you, all the listeners, and thank you for all the good questions which were, put on the forum. We are all enriched by this talk. Thank you once again to Professor Ashok Kumar. And what about two lines of song if you can end it with?
Oh, very. It's just like life, you see. It's, जिंदगी का सफर है ये कैसा सफर कोई समझा नहीं कोई जाना नहीं है ये कैसी डगर चलते हैं हम मगर कोई जाना नहीं कोई समझा नहीं. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, audience. With this note, we finish our first webinar of Zoology Department. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.